Captain Elias Brand had seen a lot of strange places in the galaxy. He was a soldier for Earth's Deep Space Force, trained to fight in the worst conditions. He had survived war zones, asteroid storms, and alien ambushes. But nothing had ever felt like this. Nothing had ever felt this wrong. It all started with a signal. A strange message was picked up by deep space, satellites near the edge of human territory. It came from a planet called Delta Vermis 7, a red, burning rock that no one lived on. The planet was known for violent storms, deadly gravity, and toxic air. It was a death world, a place no life should survive, but the signal was clear. It said only three things over and over again. Please help us. We are hunted. We are dying. It wasn't in human language, but the message was translated fast. The voice sounded afraid, desperate, almost like a child crying in the dark. At first, some thought it was a trick. Others believed it was real. Earth had recently joined the Galactic Union, a massive group of alien civilizations. Humanity wanted to prove it was peaceful, helpful, and ready to be trusted. So Earth responded with a peace team. They sent doctors, engineers, translators, and a backup squad of elite soldiers. Just in case, Captain Brand led the soldiers. His job was simple: protect the peace team. Get in, secure the area, find out who sent the signal, and get out. They landed on Delta Vermis 7 inside a thick steel dropship. The air shook from storms above, and the ground looked like dry, cracked skin. The mountains were jagged like teeth. Rivers ran like black ink, and the trees looked burned, even though there was no fire. The planet felt like it hated them. They set up base inside a large crater. The peace team started scanning the area and broadcasting friendly signals. Brand's team checked the perimeter. It was quiet, but not the kind of peaceful quiet. It was wrong. No wind, no birds, no movement. Like the world was holding its breath, and then they came. Tall, thin creatures walked out of the forest near the crater. They were about 7 feet tall, with smooth blue skin, long arms, and big silver eyes. They moved slowly, hands raised, like they didn't want to fight. They called themselves the Threxel. They didn't speak out loud. They used something like mind speech thoughts that entered your head. It gave most of the humans headaches. One doctor passed out from it, but the message was clear: we need help. Something is coming. It hunts. It kills. We can't stop it. Brand didn't trust them completely. Something about the Threxel felt too quiet. But the peace team believed them. They started setting up aid stations and scanning the Threxel for injuries or disease. The aliens kept looking toward the trees, like they were scared of something just beyond sight. One of the Threxel, smaller, with brighter eyes, pulled Brand aside. It touched his arm and whispered, "You must leave. It will see you." "Who?" Brand asked. The alien's eyes darkened. "The Maw." That was the first time they heard the name. No one knew what it meant. It didn't match any known alien species. There were no records of a Maw anywhere in the Galactic Union. Then the ground started shaking. Brand barked an order. "Defensive. Positions. Get everyone inside the ship." The Threxel screamed, not in words, but in a horrible screeching thought. Some of them ran. Others dropped to the ground and covered their heads. And from behind the tree line, it came. At first, Brand thought it was a walking building. It was massive, at least 50 feet tall, shaped like a spider made from black rock and bones. Its legs were sharp like blades. Dozens of red lights blinked along its body like eyes, and its mouth was a swirling hole of black energy. It didn't walk. It glided, and it moved straight toward the humans. "Open fire!" Brand shouted. Guns lit up the crater. Rockets flew. Lasers hit its body, but nothing worked. The creature didn't slow down. It didn't even react. As it came closer, the air got cold. The ground cracked. And people started screaming not because of pain, but because their minds were being attacked. Brand's team tried to retreat, dragging the peace crew toward the dropship. But the mall let out a sound deep and broken, like 1,000 voices, crying out at once, and everything went black. When Elias opened his eyes, it was silent. The ship was wrecked. The crater was empty. The bodies of his team were gone. No sign of a fight. No smoke. No blood. Just quiet. His armor was damaged. His comms didn't work. He couldn't raise command. He was alone, but beside him, someone or something had scratched a message into the dirt. The letters were jagged, uneven, but clear. Run. Brand stood up, heart racing. The sky above was blood-red and full of swirling clouds. The forest behind him looked darker than before. He didn't know what had taken his team. He didn't know where the Threxel went. And he didn't know if the Maw was still near, but he knew one thing for sure. Something wanted him to survive just long enough to understand why they called for help. And what happens when humanity answers. Captain. Elias Brand was alone now. Everyone from his team was gone. The ship was broken, the sky was red, and the planet felt like it was watching him. The dirt under his feet was warm and cracked. His radio didn't work. His weapon was low on power. He had no backup, no map, and no way to call home. But the message scratched in the ground stayed in his mind. Run. He didn't know who wrote it. It looked rushed and messy, but it was clear. It meant danger was still nearby. So Brand didn't wait. He grabbed what gear he could and walked away from the crash site, heading toward the mountains. The land changed. Fast. One moment he was walking through dry sand, the next he was climbing over sharp black rocks. Some parts of the ground hissed with steam. Others crumbled under his boots. The air tasted like metal. A few times he thought he saw shadows move in the distance, but when he looked, nothing was there. The worst part was the silence. There were no animals, no bugs, no wind. It was like the planet itself was holding its breath. It made Brand feel like he didn't belong there, like he was being judged just for standing on the surface. After 2 days of walking, Brand found something strange. It was a half-buried escape pod, small, round, and clearly human. The paint was old and scratched. On the side, he saw the faded symbol of the Earth Defense Corps. He hurried to the hatch and pulled it open. Inside, the pilot was still there. But he was dead, burned, melted into the seat. His helmet was cracked, and his hands were frozen on the controls. Brand looked away, heart heavy. The man had died screaming, but the pod still had power. Its black box was glowing. Brand tapped a few buttons and played the last log. The voice was rough and panicked. "This is Lieutenant Marcus Dale. I don't know how long we've been here. The Maw, it's not just a monster. It's something worse. It copies what it kills. It wears the bodies like masks. We tried to help. We tried to talk. But it used. US, it learned from us." Then static. Then something else low, deep, like growling from inside the machine. Brand backed away. Just then, he heard it again, the whispering. Not out loud, but in his mind, like fingers brushing the back of his thoughts. He spun around, gun raised. Out of the fog stepped 5 tall shapes. They looked like Threxel. But wrong. Their skin was cracked and dark. Their silver eyes were gone now. They were pitch black like holes, and their mouths were open too wide, showing sharp teeth. They didn't blink. They didn't breathe. One of them stepped forward. It tilted its head. "Human," it said in a voice that echoed like a broken speaker. "You are alone." Brand raised his rifle. "Stay back." The creature smiled with too many teeth. "You don't belong here." They rushed him. Brand fired. The first one went down, but the others kept coming. He backed up, shooting again and again. They moved like smoke, fast and quiet. One grabbed his arm, but he smashed it in the face with his rifle butt. Another leapt, but he rolled away. His ammo ran out. He turned to run just as a bolt of blue plasma came from the sky and blasted the ground behind him. One of the creatures exploded in a cloud of ash. Brand looked up. A ship hovered just above the trees, small, fast, and scarred by years of damage. A rope dropped down. A woman leaned out, reaching for him. She was human. Her armor was like his, but older, tougher. Need a lift? She asked. Brand didn't hesitate. He grabbed the rope, and the ship pulled him up just as the last creature screamed and lunged, but missed. Inside the ship, the woman handed him water and sat down at the controls. "Who are you?" Brand asked, out of breath. "Name's Sergeant Ray Hollow," she said. "You're late." Brand blinked. "Late?" She looked at him. "You're not the first team they sent." "What?" She tossed him a jacket. It had an old earth patch on the shoulder, but not one he recognized. It showed a skull on fire. The words below it read, "Project Warbreed, Returners from Hell." Brand stared. "That's a Black Ops unit. You guys were wiped out years ago." Ray grinned. "Nope, we were just left behind." She flew the ship low, cutting across rivers of lava and cliffs, shaped like bones. Brand sat in silence. His heart was still racing. "So what happened?" he asked. "Why didn't you come back?" Ray's smile faded. Her voice dropped. "Because there's no way out. Not without bringing it back with us." Brand felt cold. "The Maw?" She nodded. "We've been studying it, fighting it, hiding from it. It's not just a creature. It's a system, a trap. It sends signals to the stars, begging for help. And when someone comes, it eats them, learns from them, and sends the next signal smarter, stronger." Brand swallowed hard. "So why me? Why send another team?" "Because you didn't answer its call," Ree said. "Earth did. You're just the delivery boy." They flew into a mountain cave covered in strange glowing stone. The ship landed near a hidden base made of scrap metal and alien tech. It was full of humans, but none of them looked normal anymore. They had glowing eyes, sharp limbs, and parts of their bodies wrapped in silver tech. Brand stepped out, stunned. "What? What is this?" Ray looked at him. "This is what's left of the first team. We adapted, or we died. And then the alarms went off." Ray spun toward the sound. "They found us? Who?" She pulled her rifle from the wall. The Maw's next move. Captain Elias Brand stood in the middle of the hidden base, staring at the strange humans around him. Some of them had glowing arms made from metal. Others had strange lights in their eyes or extra limbs made of tech. They looked part human, part machine, but they were alive. They were soldiers, survivors. And they were preparing for war. The alarm kept blaring. Red lights flashed on the ceiling. Walls shook. Brand looked to Sergeant Ray, who was checking her. Gun and shouting orders. "Get to battle positions. The Maw knows we're here." Men and women ran to their stations. Big metal doors slammed shut. Guns dropped from the ceiling on robot arms. It was clear this base had been used many times before. It wasn't just a hideout. It was a fortress. Brand grabbed a gun from the wall. "What's coming?" Ray looked at a screen. Her face went pale. "Copies," she said. "A whole army." Of them. Brand walked to the monitor and stared. Dozens, maybe hundreds of figures were moving through the mountain forest. They looked like humans, but wrong. Some had stretched limbs. Others had twisted faces or heads that moved in circles. Some dragged weapons. Others moved on all fours like animals. Each one had something familiar. But something off. Brand realized what they were. "They're us," he whispered. "They copied our old teams." "Not just the teams," Ree said. They copied our fighting style, our gear, our voice patterns. Every battle makes them smarter. That's how the maw learns. It watches. It takes. Then it sends the next wave. The base shook again. Boom. Boom. Doom. They were getting closer. Brand ran to the barricade, took cover behind metal plates, and aimed his rifle at the dark cave entrance. Then the first one appeared. It looked like his old teammate Max. Same face, same armor, but with skin that looked too tight and black eyes that didn't blink. The thing opened its mouth, but no words came out. Just a deep clicking sound like a bug's legs tapping glass. Then it charged. Brand fired, hitting it in the chest. The thing dropped, but behind it came 5 more. Then 10, then 20. The cave lit up with gunfire. Ray shouted orders. Soldiers launched grenades and blasted the tunnel walls. Metal bits and fake flesh flew everywhere. The copies didn't scream. They didn't fall back. They kept coming, like machines. One of them leapt at Brand, knocking his gun aside. It raised a blade butt. Before it could strike, Ray slammed into it with her shoulder and shot it point blank. "You okay?" she shouted. "Yeah," Brand gasped. "These things don't stop." "They don't feel pain," Ray said. "They're just shells." The fight lasted almost an hour. Brand lost count of how many enemies fell. But slowly they pushed the copies back. More traps activated. Fire poured down from above. Walls shifted, closing off the tunnel. Finally, silence. Smoke filled the base. Bodies of the fake soldiers were piled near the door, melting into black slime. Brand dropped to the ground, breathing hard. "Did we win?" he asked. Ray didn't answer. She walked to the central screen, which was flashing again. More dots. More movement. "No," she said. "That was just a scout wave." Brand stood. "You're saying more are coming?" She nodded. "But it's worse than that. These ones aren't copies of us." Brand looked at the screen. The shapes were different, taller, wider, some with wings or multiple arms. They didn't walk like humans. They ran like beasts. The maw had started copying other species. Aliens from the Galactic Union. Creatures that no one had seen in years. It's pulling from old memories. Ray said, "Everything it's ever touched. Everything it's ever tricked into coming here." Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A strange sound filled the base. A voice. Not one, but hundreds. Male and female. Young and old, all speaking at once. Humanity was curious. Humanity was kind. Humanity opened the door. "Now, you will understand what we are." Brand's skin went cold. "It's the maw," Ray said, gripping her gun. "It's speaking to us. You are brave. You are clever. But you are slow. You burn bright, and then you die. We do not die. We change. We take. And now, we become." The voice stopped. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the base shook again, harder. Lights burst. Screens went black. The roof cracked. Brand turned to Ray. "We can't win like this. We need to call Earth." Ray looked away. "We tried," she said. "Years ago. Every signal is blocked. Every wave is copied. If Earth hears anything now, it's just the maw pretending to be us." Brand thought hard. "Then we don't send." "A message," he said. "We send us." Ray frowned. "What?" Brand pointed to a ship in the corner. It was old, dusty, and broken, but it looked like it could fly with repairs. "We get off this rock. We go back. We tell Earth what this thing really is." "You'll never make it through orbit," she said. "Then we die trying," Brand replied. "But we do it on our terms." Ray looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. "All right, Captain. Let's go make hell nervous." They started fixing the ship with whatever they had, parts from old gear, weapons, and broken tech. As they worked, the ground kept shaking. Time was running out. Just as they loaded the last fuel cell, the roof cracked wide open, and the maw appeared. It wasn't just a creature. It was everything. A massive black storm made of shapes, bodies, shadows, and light. Faces appeared and vanished. Arms reached out. Eyes blinked. Screams echoed from inside it. Human, alien, machine. It filled the whole sky. Brand stared up in horror. And then it spoke again. You leave and we follow. You fight and we learn. You run and we wait. We are the last story you will ever tell. The maw reached down toward them like a giant hand made of nightmares. Ray looked at Brand. We go. Now or we never leave. Brand hit the launch button. The ship roared to life. As fire blasted from the engines and the ground tore apart beneath them. They shot into the sky. The ship shook hard as it flew through the sky. Flames burst from the engines. Captain Elias Brand held on to his seat, eyes locked on the screen in front of him. Sergeant Ray Hollow sat next to him, working the controls with fast, steady hands. Outside the window, the planet was falling apart. The maw had woken up fully now. It wasn't hiding anymore. Big black storms twisted in the air. They weren't made of clouds. They were made of faces, screaming faces, alien and human, all stuck together. Below them, giant hands of dark matter rose from the ground. They swatted at the ship like it was a fly. We're not going to make it, Ray said, gritting her teeth. It's too close. It knows we're trying to leave. Brand slammed a button on the console. A shield of blue light wrapped around the ship just in time. One of the dark arms slammed into them, but the shield held for now. Just get us to orbit, Brand shouted. If we can hit space, I can send a burst signal. Old tech. Manual key code. The maw won't copy it fast enough. Fingers crossed. Ray said. The ship burst through the clouds. But the maw followed. It stretched higher than the sky. Its black body wrapped around the planet like a snake. It roared not with sound, but with voices inside their heads. You cannot run from your own shadow. We are in your blood. Your data, your memories. Brand growled. Then come and get us. The ship broke through into space. For a second. Everything was quiet. Stars sparkled in the dark. The DeathWorld shrank behind them. Brand stood up and ran to the back. There, he found the old radio unit Ray had saved. It was ancient Earth-made, non-digital, all buttons and wires. He punched. In the code .777-Alpha-Delta, Earth emergency combat signal. Come on, come on. He muttered. Then it clicked. The light turned green. A voice came through. This is Earth Defense Command. Identify. Brand shouted. This is Captain Elias Brand. DeathWorld Alpha 13 is alive. The maw is real. I repeat, the maw is real. It copies minds, tech, and bodies. It's a trap planet. Send reinforcements and full burn. If it reaches another system, it will spread. There was a long pause. Then, message received. Help is coming. He looked at Ray, his face serious. Now? We wait. But they didn't have to wait long. The maw had followed them. Not just one part of it, the whole thing. A huge black shape rose from the planet's crust like a god made of smoke and wires. It reached into space, arms stretching for miles. Dead. Ships floated around it, old war cruisers, scout ships, civilian crafts, all empty now. All part of the maw, and at the center of it all, a face, human, smiling. Brand whispered, "That's me." It was his face, but older, hollow, with empty eyes and a crooked grin. You cannot destroy yourself, Elias. You are already part of us. The maw surged forward. Brand and Ray watched as lights blinked on the radar. Earth ships. Hundreds of them. Fighters, bombers, massive carriers. The full weight of humanity's war machine. The Maw laughed. War, that is what you bring? We eat war. But Earth didn't stop. From every side of the system, ships appeared. Missiles launched. Plasma burned. Railguns fired. The Maw screamed. It wasn't used to being hit this hard, this fast. It moved to copy the weapons, but Earth had changed them too quickly. The new ships had tricks the Maw hadn't seen. Their data was locked. Their tech was unpredictable. And most of all, their rage was pure. Brand watched as entire squadrons flew straight into the Maw, exploding on contact. Soldiers didn't try to survive, they tried to win. No mercy. No retreat, just war. And for once, the Maw was afraid. It split into pieces, trying to escape. Each piece flew in a different direction, but Earth was faster. Satellites tracked every move. Lasers burned every trail. Each copy was hunted. Each broken piece was scorched. Then the final blow came. A ship the size of a city appeared from behind the moon. The Arkhammer. The pride of Earth's fleet. Armed with the Sol cannon, a weapon so strong it could break moons. Brand saw it charge. Everybody look away. Ray shouted. A white beam fired. It hit the planet below. The Maw screamed one last time. And then nothing. Silence. The DeathWorld cracked open. Light poured from deep inside. Then the whole surface collapsed into itself. The Maw was gone. Brand sat back, shaking. He looked at Ray. Did we win? She nodded, but slowly. We heard it, maybe killed it. But if even one piece got away, Brand finished her thought, it could start again. They flew back to Earth weeks later, but everything had changed. Earth had seen what was possible. What? Dangers waited in the dark. The Maw wasn't the only threat. There could be others. Worse ones. Smarter ones. So they started building more ships, more weapons, and something new. Death protocol units. Teams made only for one job, to seek and destroy threats like the Maw. Before they grew too strong. Brand joined the first unit. Ray joined him. Didn't go home. They didn't rest. They flew to the next signal. Because space was calling again. And this time, humanity wasn't answering with hope. It was answering with total war.